This is Fred Richani, TSC, March 15th, 2020, here with a major NFL free agency, CBA news, contract negotiation update. There's a lot going on, obviously, in the real world. We want to give you guys a bit of a brief distraction, also keep you informed because, believe it or not, with everything going on, the league year is still proceeding. I mean, technically, the new league year begins in a little while, but there's contract negotiations going on. There's trades going on. The new collective bargaining agreement just got agreed upon. Let's start with some of the big news, okay? I mean, everything's big, but right now, at least in the grand scheme of things of sports, obviously there's real stuff going on, and I just want to say I love all you, and I pray for all you, and I hope everything gets better soon, and please take the necessary steps to stay safe. If you're new here, please consider subscribing, enabling notifications. We cover pro football pretty damn in-depth, and we got a lot more football videos coming your way. So, Ryan Tannehill, quarterback of the Tennessee Titans, formerly of the Miami Dolphins, he has agreed to a 4-year, $118 million deal. Now, like any deal with the NFL and the collective bargaining agreement and with the contracts that are notoriously team-friendly, it is only, as you said, air quotes, $62 million guaranteed. Now, I don't know if that's $62 million over the course of 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, probably 2 years. But either way, $62 million guaranteed for a guy who is a borderline journeyman quarterback. That's pretty damn good. Now, look, he did win the Comeback Player of the Year award last year, deservedly so. And he did help lead the Titans to the AFC title game. You know, from what I understand, when he threw more than 30 times, he did go 0 for 3, but I believe those were against teams such as the Chiefs who were, well, last time I checked, pretty damn good. So, hey, good for him. Kind of surprising they didn't go after Tom Brady. Maybe they did, and they decided, you know what? We could pay Tom Brady all this money for a couple years, or we could pay Ryan Tannehill, who we are familiar with, and try to make another run at it. And look, AFC South, I think, is ripe for the taking. The situation with everything going on with the Colts and Jacoby Brissett, that's really uncertain. Yeah, maybe Philip Rivers can end up with the Colts, but are there any guarantees that Philip Rivers is going to be the Pro Bowl level guy or near Pro Bowl level guy he was before? I don't know. I mean, the Colts got to start spending some money on free agency. They technically have, which we'll get to in a second, but the Colts have left a lot of money on the table for a long freaking time. The Jaguars are just, I don't know what the hell the Jaguars are doing. I know they're stockpiling all these draft picks and everything else, but they were only a couple of years removed from getting to the AFC title game, from almost making it to the Super Bowl with Blake Bortles. And they had a chance to win the AFC South had they not fallen apart under Nick Foles, who was never the same after his injury, and after Gardner Minshew stumbled. Although, in fairness to Minshew, he was a rookie. So, yeah, this is crazy. So let's just go through some of the other stuff here. So we know Ryan Tannehill is back. That we do know. According to Pro Football Talk, it is believed that Jack Conklin, the offensive tackle, could be franchise tagged instead of Derrick Henry, and Derrick Henry will negotiate a new long-term deal with the Titans. Now, of course, they could tag Derrick Henry, running back, their outstanding team MVP. They could, the offensive player of the year, they could do that, but I don't know, man. He means so much to that team, and I know that people say running backs are overrated and things like that, but I think when you have some truly great running backs like Derrick Henry, there are exceptions to the rule. Ezekiel Elliott, there are exceptions to the rule with running backs. I think he's one of them. So I'd like to see him get paid. Not saying I don't want Jack Conklin to get paid either. But Conklin is rumored to either be tagged or be on the free agency market. So I guess we'll see. I think if I had a guess, maybe they will negotiate a long-term deal with Derrick Henry, whether they tag him or not, and Conklin will be left to negotiate himself, and we'll see what happens there. As for the new CBA, this is supposed to benefit veteran players. Players will get paid more in theory, but not a lot of the wiggle room. Meanwhile, the players still don't have guaranteed contracts. There are still franchise tags. Rookie deals aren't shorter. Unbelievable. Rookie deals aren't shorter. And oh yeah, as early as 2021, they will have to play 17 freaking games. Now, look, I've seen both sides of this. I've seen the side that says, hey, this is still a good deal for retired players, veteran players. this is still a good deal for rookies and people that don't have a long window in the NFL. I've seen people that say, well, with all this uncertainty, with the economy crashing worldwide and everything else, this might be the best deal they got. And I understand that. But the fact that they let this deal get to where it was before voting with franchise tags, without the guarantee of, guaranteed contracts, it's appalling. It's ridiculous. And kudos to Aaron Rodgers and J.J. Watt and Russell Wilson and all these other players that stepped up to the plate and said, nah, I'm voting no. And you know what? Even kudos to the guys like Ryan Fitzpatrick that said, I'm voting yes, even if I vehemently disagree with them. You know what? At least we had people speaking up. But the fact is, where was Tom Brady in all this? Where was Big Ben in all this? Where are these other guys in all of this, right? It would have been nice if more people stepped up to the plate. It would have been nice if there was more education. And look, yes, these players that are in the NFL, that even are there for a couple years, will have a decent shelf life when it comes to making some money. Okay? They'll still be making a lot more than a lot of Americans. That's understandable. But the long-term health risks, you got the concussions. It's just crazy, though. The NFL makes more money in TV in the United States than the NBA, than the MLB, than a lot of other sports. I think it's number one overall. They get the best ratings by far, yet there's no guaranteed contracts. It's utterly ridiculous. It's utterly ridiculous. I mean, there should at least be, look, if you don't want to guarantee somebody for a full 5 years, 4 years, whatever, at least make the minimum guarantee like 2 years or something. So that way a player can still earn money. God forbid they get injured or something happens. It's just unfortunate. Again, they're still getting paid. They're still getting some more money. There are some concessions. This is good for the fans in the sense that you get more NFL games if you want that. And the playoffs, by the way, will be expanded as soon as 2020. So if you're somebody that has a team that's been on the cusp of making the playoffs, Steelers, not my team, I'm just saying, then you're going to be lucky because now they're going to have 7 teams in each conference. Now, Fox Sports actually compiled a list of all the teams that would have been 7 seeds the last 10 years. Think about this. So on the NFC side of things, in 2010, it would have been the Giants, Bears, Cardinals, Eagles, Falcons, Buccaneers in 2016. By the way, the Buccaneers haven't made the playoffs since Chris Sims was their quarterback, which I believe was 2006. That's how long ago it was, folks. Lions 2017, Vikings 2018, Rams this past season 2019. On the AFC side, 2010, Chargers, Titans, Steelers, Texans, and that was back when they probably had some bum at quarterback before Deshaun Watson. 2015 Jets, I believe that was the crippling season-ending loss to the Buffalo Bills where Ryan Fitzpatrick threw for 3 interceptions. Ugh, that was brutal. 2016 Titans, 2017 Baltimore Ravens, and 2018 and 19 the Pittsburgh Steelers. So Steelers could have made the playoffs 4 times in the last decade had this expanded playoff format been in place. And as far as the Bears, twice. Crazy to think about, right? And the Buccaneers at least once, which is, a lot more than they've had over the last decade plus. As far as other news, there's just so much going on. So I mentioned the new CBA, which, by the way, is going to be in place, I believe, until 2021. I think they could renegotiate around 2021. Tom Brady, not as big of a free agent market as expected. Chris Sims, who's connected with NBC Sports and, of course, hosts Pro Football Talk Live with Mike Florio, he says that in reality, the only other team that wants Tom Brady is the Tampa Bay Bucks. And I've talked about it before. I think the Bucks would be a fantastic fit for Tom Brady, given Bruce Arians is a quarterback guru, given the fact that they got 2 standout wide receivers, including Mike Evans, who's an absolute stud. Like, that's a team to me that with the quarterback that can take care of the football and make smart decisions with playoff experience, whether it's Tom Brady or somebody else, can actually go far. And with the Carolina Panthers having a fire sale and trading Trey Turner among other talent, with all the uncertainty with Drew Brees, yes, he was having a great season in 2019, but you don't know if he's going to fall off a cliff and if all those heartbreaking losses are finally going to catch up with the Saints. With all that jazz, with the Falcons, the uncertainty and inconsistency with them, I do think that the NFC South is ripe for the taking for the Bucks. And look, the Bucks were in the mix until Jameis went full 30 for 30. So, and BSO, Black Sports Online, Robert Littell of BSO actually reports that he's heard that the Las Vegas Raiders now would also take Tom Brady on a short-term deal. And why wouldn't you sign him to a short-term deal? Because, he is kind of old and up there in age. So something to think about there. So Tom Brady, not as much of a free agent class as we thought he'd have. Niners seem to be out of the mix, and I don't know. I think Jimmy G should get another shot, but I really do think this dude needs to step up to the plate. And I'm not hating on him, but he's been in the league for a long time. I know he's been injured and banged up. Another guy who served as a backup for a long time, who had immense potential, who even, I believe, was injured his first season as a full-time starter, his name was Aaron Rodgers. And then the following, I think the first year, he was a full-time starter. They made the playoffs. They lost in the wild card round. And then the next couple of years did pretty well and, of course, ended up going to a Super Bowl. So, look, I think the limit for Jimmy G, the ceiling is still relatively high, but he's got to take care of the football a little bit more, and he's got to step up to the plate. He's been a very good quarterback, but for the amount they're paying him, he needs to be a great quarterback, especially if you believe that Kyler Murray with the Cardinals is going to take that next step, especially if you believe that maybe Jared Goff will shake off the Goffness and be a little bit better, and Todd Gurley will get back to the swing of things with the Rams this coming season. And then, of course, you got Russell, I got that hustle Wilson, who is going to the Hall of Fame one day. Another thing to think about, I don't know if this is official yet. I apologize if I don't have the source right now. I've been seeing there's just so much news, sports and real life going on. But from what I understand, the construction of the new LA Rams stadium, which where the LA Chargers would also play, has not been completed yet. And it may be halted and probably should be halted due to the coronavirus outbreak. So there is a chance that the Chargers and the Rams could be playing in the Coliseum. Or maybe the Chargers playing that small-ass soccer stadium that they couldn't even sell out. Ugh, man, they should have just stayed in San Diego, but that's the deal. Also, as part of the new CBA, the NFL will stop suspending players for cannabis use. That being said, to the best of my knowledge, as of press time, Josh Gordon, who's tested positive for weed multiple times, is still on ice, and that's unfortunate. Although, from what I understand, he's got other addiction issues, and obviously he needs to take care of that first, and we hope that he can. Josina Anderson of ESPN reports, another NFL player rep to me, quote, I hate the deal, and I think we open the door for them to add games every CBA with minimal concessions. No ish, of course. Should have taken it more seriously. The Jacksonville Jaguars, they are trading Calais Campbell to the Ravens for a 5th-round pick. Ridiculous. The Jaguars are dumb. They traded Jalen Ramsey for some loose change. They traded A.J. Boye for some loose change. They traded Calais Campbell for some loose change. The era of Saxonville that we thought of is over as we know it. They got a nice young quarterback in Gardner Minshew, but they're still on the hook for tens of millions of dollars with Nick Foles. They are trying to trade him and find a sucker. And look, if the Bucs could want to take a chance on Nick Foles, if there's one coach I would trust with Nick Foles at this point, other than Doug Peterson if he went back to Philly, which won't happen given the nature of the deal and Carson Wentz, it's the Tampa Bay Bucs. But I don't see that happening, and Jaguars are just an absolute mess. And never mind the fact I don't see them being a free agent destination after that whole mess with Tom Coughlin. Crazy. Jalen Ramsey, Calais Campbell, A.J. Boye, all traded over the last year. Utterly ridiculous. As far as other NFL news, as I mentioned, Derrick Henry potentially staying. Colts have agreed to a long-term extension with their left tackle, Anthony Costanzo. According to ESPN, it'll be a 2-year extension worth $33 million. We don't know how much of that, of course, is guaranteed. But there you go. Ruben Barber says Ryan Tannehill got paid. You damn right he got paid. He got paid a whole lot of money. And as far as anything else, I'm just trying. Don't mind me. There's just so much, literally so much going on. Before we get to our next segment, I just want to make sure that I got everything for you guys that we covered in the meantime. At the moment, it's 6:55 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And, yeah. So, free agents. Okay, so according to PFT, free agency is proceeding as planned. That's interesting. The Patriots will tender Jermaine Eluemunor. I hope I pronounced his name correctly. Probably butchered that. The Texans are close to re-signing Bradley Roby. Falcons are closing in on an extension with Tyler Davison. The league year, of course, will start on time. The Vikings are trying to re-sign Dan Bailey. And, just a lot going on. So before we go, what I want to do is play you guys an interview I recently conducted at the NFL Scouting Combine with Mark Lane of WFAA Sports and USA Today's Texans Wire. He is an expert at covering the Houston Texans. But in this particular segment, we talk specifically about the Dallas Cowboys. We talk about Mike McCarthy joining the team as head coach. And we talk about the utmost importance in signing the quarterback of their future, their hopeful future, Dak Prescott. So check that out. And if you enjoyed this video, this podcast, this update, please like, share, take care, subscribe, and enjoy this interview. Fred Richani of TSC. We are here at the NFL Scouting Combine. I'm here with Mark Lane. He is a journalist for Texans Wire of USA Today. Also covers the Dallas Cowboys for WFAA. And hey, we picked a good time to chat with you, man. There's a lot of chatter about Tom Brady, Dak Prescott, Amari Cooper, you name it. What is going on with the Dallas Cowboys in 2020?
The same thing that goes on with them every season, and that's just they're constantly in the headlines. But I think the complication of not getting an extension wrapped up with Dak Prescott has really, complicated their offseason plans, because now, even though you do have the luxury of the franchise tag and the transition tag that they can use on Amari Cooper and cornerback Byron Jones, still, you'd rather not have to use any of those. You'd have rather locked up Prescott. Instead, the way it's going, they may have to tag Dak. Not necessarily that they would need that he's going to play under the tag, but they'd have to use it to protect him. And then you can't use that to protect Byron Jones. Here's where it gets complicating, though, Fred, is if they get the news, they're only able to use it because they're in the final year of the current 2011 collective bargaining agreement. When they re-up the new one, then they'll take away one of those tags. So if they tag Dak and Amari, they sign it, they're going to have to leave and just tag Dak. And then you expose Cooper and Jones to the open market. So it really happened because they weren't able to get anything done with Prescott, but I don't think it's the Cowboys' fault necessarily in terms of they were trying to be cheap with him. I think Dak realizes what a generational contract this is in terms of his family, and he wants to get the most that he can. You also have a little ambiguity because it is the last year of the CBA. What's the new one going to look like? Are they going to get more money? And that's really how we've got to this point. He's going to be a Dallas Cowboy, though. He's going to take snaps for him week 1 against the New York Giants in the late afternoon game at AT&T Stadium. A tradition like none other now.
So you're saying there's no chance, zero chance, that you think Dak Prescott is not a Dallas Cowboy or sitting out any regular season games?
No.
Wow.
I think he would sit out off-season workouts if he gets franchise tagged, because that is the nature of what happens with players when they get tagged or they have contract, disputes with the team. But I don't think he misses any training camp time or any games.
Now, we covered the Mike McCarthy press conference earlier this week, said all the right things. He definitely seems fired up and re-energized from Green Bay. What do you think Mike McCarthy can bring to the table?
First of all, I started covering the Cowboys in 2013, so just in the middle of the Jason Garrett era, and people would say stuff like, oh my gosh, he's so robotic in his press conferences. It's like, oh, what do they know? Then McCarthy gets up there, and I realized, oh my gosh, Jason Garrett was robotic. He really did. He brought a lot of, I think for the fans, McCarthy brings a lot of energy and a lot of zest, and they're feeding off of that. And just based on how many Photoshop pictures there are of him, you think he'd have coached in Dallas for 3 years by now. I think what the Cowboys have done is a decision that Jerry Jones wishes he would have made back in 1998 when they hired Chan Gailey to replace Barry Switzer. Now, in 98, they had Todd Sherman, the offensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers as a candidate. They had George Seifert of the San Francisco 49ers fame as a candidate, and they decided to go with Chan Gailey, offensive coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers, who really was instrumental in getting Cordell Stewart from the slash role to a quarterback, to being, more of a quarterback. And they went with that decision, and you see what happened. Now, when you have a team in its prime, kind of like how the Cowboys were in 97, 98, with a team in its prime, still has one in it, I think he's going the Seifert route, Jerry Jones, in getting Mike McCarthy. We'll see if it manifests. McCarthy has a lot he wants to prove, because he was fired in the middle of the season. He was a Super Bowl winning coach.
I thought that was so disrespectful. I mean, I get that there was tension with him and Aaron Rodgers, but the guy was there for well over a decade, got them to multiple NFC title games, and won a Super Bowl for them. I mean, that's crazy. Have you seen anything like that with a coach that should have that much respect with the team?
Yeah, exactly. And he still feels like he has something to prove. He used the time off to study other NFL offenses and to see what he could use when he goes to the next stop. He really like the situation in Dallas. The concern that I have is that in the Super Bowl era, there have been 11 head coaches that have spent time at their first stop for 10 plus years, like McCarthy has. There have been 11 of them, and only 2 of them have won playoff games. Only 2 of them. Dan Reeves with the New York Giants, and then the Atlanta Falcons, and then Andy Reid with the Chiefs. So the odds are against McCarthy. We'll see if he still has the same zest and something to give to the game like Reeves and Reid did. And I was critical at first, but I'm starting to come around. I think that he can. I don't know about a Super Bowl, but, because no coach has ever won a Super Bowl and then won another one with another team. But I think that he can take them to the next level.